Obviously, we all want to know how to grow our business. In fact, you clicked on this video because you read the title or you saw the thumbnail and you thought, that's exactly what I need help with. Well, today I'm going to walk you step by step through exactly how you can use organic lead generation in your business to get more customers, more clients in the doors, and convert to more sales in your bottom line. So if that sounds good, let's go ahead and get right into it. So first of all, let's start by talking about what exactly lead generation is. When we think about lead generation, we want to be thinking about the possibility and the process of attracting potential new customers or clients into our business. It's all about being able to nurture the interests of these individuals enough in the hopes that one day, eventually down the road, they're going to purchase from you and your business. This can often look like having an opt-in for an email list, asking people to complete a survey for you, gathering feedback from individuals who come across your product, or in this day and age, it can even look like getting people to follow you on social media. Generating leads is the first step in the sales process because it's what allows people to garner interest in your product or service, and again, eventually hope one day down the road that they're going to buy from you. And in many businesses, it looks something like this right here, where we craft an offer that draws people in. We utilize something like an email list or our social media content to nurture them through the process with the intention that at the end of the day, they're going to convert into a sale. Now, it's important for me to note here as well that not every lead is going to result in a sale in your business. Oftentimes, we are gathering leads with hope that we're going to convert a portion of them into buying customers or clients. At the end of the day, being successful in your lead generation efforts is going to be what helps to not only increase sales overall in your business, but also decrease the amount of effort that it takes for you to have to acquire those sales, because you have a consistent roster of new people, new faces coming into your business funnel. So before we get too far into this, I do want to take a second just to define a term that you may have heard before, and you actually see it in the title of this video, and that is organic lead generation. So what is it and how is it different than regular lead generation or paid lead generation? The key difference when it comes to organic lead generation is that we are generating leads into our business without the use of advertising, paid marketing, or any sort of monetary promotional service. Makes sense, right? It's all done organically. Now, in order to do this successfully, it requires us to spend lots of time developing key strategies that are going to work to convert new or prospective customers or clients into finding us, knowing us, trusting us, and wanting to make a purchase from us. So maybe you've heard about this in the internet space referred to as community building, audience nurturing. It's all different words for generally the same thing. Sounds simple enough, right? And so by now you might be wondering, what are the benefits of organic lead generation versus something like paid lead generation? Simply put, oftentimes organic lead generation can actually be better at getting the perfect fitting potential customer into the funnel versus something like paid lead generation. You see, with paid lead generation, it typically goes something like this. We set broad parameters for our ads, the sex of the person we're trying to reach, the age of them, where they're located, and a few of their interests. And we collect this large pool of potential candidates. And so those people tend to be vaguely interested in whatever it is you're talking about, you're selling, etc. But the issue is that although we're collecting a larger pool of these people, they aren't exactly well qualified specifically for your business and your offer. And so while the upside is that you reach a larger pool of people with paid lead generation, the downside is that they aren't necessarily qualified leads. And so for reference, a qualified lead is someone who fits the profile of your ideal client with the intention to buy. And if you want to learn more about ideal clients and how you can figure that out for your business, I have this video right here that you can go ahead and give a watch. So overall, organic lead generation tends to improve trust and credibility between you and your audience. But more importantly, it improves the quality of traffic that you are gaining to your profile, your website, your offer. Because with organic lead generation, not only are we not, marketing to that broad pool, hoping that some of them stick, we're actually marketing to the people who chose to and want to be in our funnel. So while yes, you may be growing a smaller community or growing at a smaller rate overall than some of your competitors who are using paid lead generation, you need to remember that the quality of those individual leads that you're getting through organic lead generation are likely much higher. Remember, we want to think about quality over quantity here. Attracting the right people into your business can actually help you increase sales and grow your bottom line over time because you're no longer wasting your effort wading through this sea of people who are only vaguely interested in what it is you have to offer them. This means we are spending less time dealing with unqualified leads, and we're spending more time driving sales from customers who already expressed interest in whatever it is you're selling. Make sense? So by now we've talked about what lead generation is, why it's so important, what the benefits are, and you might be wondering, how do I do it in my business? And so the answer to this question is sort of a multi-step process, so I'm going to walk you through it. And so the first thing you're going to want to make sure you do is really know who your niche is and do your research in accordance with that niche. So if you need help kind of figuring out what is my niche, how do I figure that out, you can check out this video right here where I talk about this topic in depth. It's also important to note that this can evolve over time as your business changes. So just be willing to adapt it as you need, understand your market, what their habits are, and use that as sort of your starting point when it comes to figuring out who am I going to bring into my business and where am I going to find them. Now, I've said this recently in other videos and I will say it again, but SEO is going to be the tried and true method of organic lead generation. And lucky for you, at this time right now, there is so much opportunity to be tapping into SEO to grow and leverage the power of your business. Basically, all major platforms at this point in time, be it Google, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, are all favoring SEO in their algorithms. So now more than ever, you have the opportunity to utilize SEO in the content that you're creating to attract organic leads into your business. This means understanding your ideal client, knowing the problems and questions that they have, showing up with the answers to those problems and questions, but doing so while utilizing the keywords that they would be searching on those applications that you're providing the content on. Now, obviously, TikTok is my primary domain, and so I have this video here where I talk about how to utilize SEO in the content you make on TikTok, your profile, your name, and everywhere else on the app to make sure that you are capitalizing on the fact that people are using TikTok as a search engine, and I will teach you how you can make the most of it on your business profile. And a lot of the concepts that I discuss in that video, although the video itself is related to TikTok, are actually applicable across most social media platforms, so I really recommend that you check it out if you haven't already. Regardless of which platforms you choose to show up on online, you want to make sure that you're taking the time to do that keyword research and make sure you really understand what the ideal client you have for your business is searching on those applications. And I've actually included the links to a couple of very useful and completely free tools that can help you do some of this keyword research. So be sure to check the description box down below. And so once you have an understanding of the value and the importance of SEO, if you're not already rolling your eyes at me, you can actually take this information to then be able to deploy a strategic approach to your social media content creation so that you're no longer just creating content sort of here and there, hoping that it sticks with someone out in the ether. And so this is going to mean regularly posting consistent and, more importantly, very helpful content on your social media channels. Remember, we always want our focus with our social media content to be surrounding that community building, audience nurturing process that helps to build know, like, and trust amongst these prospective customers or clients. We are leading with the attitude of service. And quite honestly, I could sit here for hours and lecture you on the importance of truly understanding your market before you come to create a social media strategy, but I'm going to save you the heartache. Go ahead and check out this video if you haven't already, and I will walk you through that concept step by step to really tap into not only who your market is, but what kind of content you should be posting to speak to that market. And so for the purpose of this video right now, I'm just going to assume that you've already done that work, you already know the answer, and you have an idea of what kind of content you need to be posting. And now when I use the term posting regularly, this is going to look different for every person. I really encourage you to lean into the consistency portion though, and just pick a posting schedule that you can be consistent with. Because even if you can only post 3 times a week, at least your audience is going to know that they can rely on you for those 3 posts a week, rather than seeing you once, not seeing you for a month, seeing you every day for 2 weeks, and just kind of being all over the place and having them be really confused and uncertain as to whether or not you're actually reliable. And honestly, as a complete aside, to help with this, I often recommend that people only choose 1 or 2 platforms when they're first starting out, because it's really hard to consistently post. If we're posting to YouTube Shorts, we're posting to Instagram Reels, we're posting to TikTok, we're creating full-length YouTube videos. It's a lot of work when you're just starting out. So make sure that you understand that it's okay if you only have the capacity to be consistent on 1 platform. It's much better that you put all your energy into that one space than try to spread yourself too thin, end up burning out, and then not being able to produce anything at all. Okay, so by now we understand keywords, we understand SEO, and we've had a little bit of a conversation about the importance of using those in our content strategy. Now, how do we take this information and convert it into leads for our business? You need to focus on creating compelling conversion points, aka opportunities to take the people who view and consume your content to convert them into actual leads for your business. Because it's great if you're pumping out videos and people are watching them and liking them and commenting. But if you're not retaining those people, then you're simply not generating leads in your business. And on an opposite note, if people are coming to my profile and I'm immediately trying to get them to sign up for my email list or join this offer, chances are they're going to be turned away. Think about this example. Anytime you're at the mall and you go into a store and you just want to browse, but as soon as you walk in the store, the salesperson starts approaching you. And if you're anything like me, you immediately turn and try to run away from them. Or in the off chance they actually come up to you and they're able to talk to you, your typical response is probably, no thanks, I don't need any help, I'm just browsing, right? Well, this is how people feel when you immediately try to sell them an offer, get them to opt in, ask them to fill out a survey, etc. They don't know you, they don't trust you, they probably don't even really have an idea about who you are or what you have knowledge in. So whether it's a blog post, an Instagram reel, a TikTok, a YouTube video, always focus on providing value. Again, who is your customer and what problems are they facing? What questions do they have? Because if we can imagine for a second watching a super helpful video about how to start a business in Canada and then being offered the opportunity at the end of the video to give our email in exchange for even more information that will help us to start that business, versus simply just being told, hey, I have this checklist that'll teach you how to start a business in Canada, you should take it, I'm sure you can understand the difference. One scenario naturally leads that potential customer or client to want to learn more, whereas the other one is trying to force it, right? We should always be thinking about the customer experience. Perhaps even yourself as a customer. What compels you to follow along on someone else's journey? What inspires you to want to opt in? These are the questions we want to be asking ourselves when it comes to thinking about how we can deliver our content to our ideal client. Okay, that was a lot. All that aside, at this point, you might be wondering, okay, this is great, but where am I supposed to put all these people? Where am I supposed to put the leads that I'm getting into my business? And to answer that question, I have 2 words for you. Email list. Even now in 2022, email marketing remains one of the most effective lead generation or lead funneling strategies out there. Email marketing really allows you the opportunity to show up regularly for your audience, not necessarily to sell them anything, but to provide value, maybe teach them a lesson, introduce them to different advice that relates to what your business is about, which in turn will help you to build trust and demonstrate that you are a reliable source for information related to the product or service that you have. So for example, in my business, I've grown an email list of thousands of people to whom I send a weekly newsletter, which typically details information about growing a business. I'll provide links to helpful resources, or I share lessons that I've learned in my journey as an entrepreneur. So it's typically not really about constantly selling so much as just allowing people the opportunity to see you as a trustworthy source of information. And I actually built built this entire email list primarily using this opt-in right here that you see on the screen. It's a checklist that teaches you how to start and grow a business in Canada. And if you want to check it out, it is linked in the description of this video. And so how do I direct people to this opt-in, you might be wondering? Just like I mentioned earlier in this video, I drive most of my traffic through Instagram, TikTok, and here on YouTube. I know who my audience is, I show up for them regularly, and I'm consistently providing free and helpful information to help them solve that problem that they're facing. And so then once I've established that rapport on social media, I offer them the opportunity to take it one step further by joining my email list. So now let's talk about what this means for you. So let me start by telling you a little bit of a story. Back in 2018 is when I started my yoga business, and in about the 4 years of running that yoga business, I don't think I ever grew my email list larger than 500 people. In fact, in this latest iteration of my business, I was able to grow my current email list larger than the one that I had for 4 years in just 2 months of lead generation. Yes, you heard that correctly. I had more leads in 2 months than I did in 4 years. So why did this happen? Honestly, I think there were probably multiple factors at play, but the two that really stick out to me were the fact that my yoga studio operated in a very specific local niche market. And so there wasn't really a need for me to be generating thousands of leads into the business just because I was operating in such a small space. And so similarly, a lot of the leads that I did have coming into my business were coming through word of mouth and referrals. And so they weren't really needing to be curated into a specific nurture sequence where I could then try and sell them, because they were actually seeking out my service based on the fact that someone else had referred them into the business. That being said, I think one of the reasons why I've seen so much success in the business version that I'm in now is because I've finally crafted an offer that not only A, solves a very specific problem for a very specific person, but B, I've also created an audience and a community that trusts me to be able to deliver quality content based on this particular topic. And so how did I do this, and how can you do this in your business? You're probably wondering, so let's get into it. First of all, please keep in mind that anything I share is going to require a lot of effort, a lot of time, and therefore a lot of patience. Much like everything else I teach on this channel, there's no overnight fix, no, quick solution, despite what some guru on the internet is telling you about being able to generate thousands of leads into your business overnight. The reality is it's going to be a low and slow burn. But if you are in it, you are willing to be patient, you are willing to be flexible, you can do it too. Now, my favorite methods for growing an email list, and these are the ones that I personally have seen the most success with and work for my type of audience as a service provider, are hosting live events such as masterclasses or webinars where we really talk about solving one specific problem. And these are great because once you host the event live, you can actually just publish the video and have it set up as an evergreen funnel, meaning that it's something that people can sort of join into at any time and still be able to watch the replay. My other favorites include free ebooks or e-guides that again teach people about a very specific topic or problem that they're facing. And then lastly, I like to offer the audience the opportunity to access some sort of exclusive free resource or discount code that they otherwise wouldn't be able to have access to if they weren't within my email list. And so I actually found out about this other strategy, which I haven't used yet, but I'm very interested to experiment with. And it's the concept of utilizing a cliffhanger to draw people into your audience. So essentially you would write a blog post or you would post a video and you would leave out a few key details or sort of finishing moments for the person to take away. And so the idea is that you offer your audience the chance to gain access to that remaining information or gain access to additional information that you left out of the post in exchange for their email address. And so it's sort of like an extended blog post or an exclusive piece of video content. But the idea is that the people read or watch the blog post or video, they see you as a reliable source, and they want to know more. And so I'm really interested to experiment with this concept in the coming months. So stay tuned for how that works out for me. I will definitely let you know. And so on that note, what I would actually encourage you to do, especially if you're new to this, is to maybe craft 2 different offers. So it could be, again, a live video training. It could be an ebook. and experiment with both for an extended period of time to see which one actually gains traction with your audience. In retrospect, when I think back to 2018, when I created my first email list, I think that was probably one of the mistakes I made, was that I created this single offer and I don't think I ever changed it once over the course of the 4 years. Even as my business evolved and the things and services that I offered evolved, I still kept that single opt-in the same, which really doesn't make any sense at all. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think as small business owners, a lot of the times we tend to get pigeonholed in our ideas, in that we're so focused on our business and our ideas that we think every idea we have is a good one and that we know what's best, when in reality, sometimes we really need to let our audience or potential audience speak for itself. And don't be afraid to ditch an idea or an opt-in that isn't working in favor of something that is better. You can iterate along the way and you can decide that something that you thought was going to work isn't actually working or isn't what your audience wants. And if this whole process is super overwhelming, you can start super basic and grow from there. I started my current email list using a single spreadsheet that I offered to people, and it took off. So then from there, I created a small business checklist. And then now I'm actually in the midst of working on a video training that would cover many of the similar components, but in a different format. So that way I have multiple offers that can appeal to a wide variety of people. But that took the process of weeks and months of interest and seeing what stuck in order to really figure out where I should be focusing my effort. And so evolution is always part of the process. And like I say in pretty much every video, once you find something that works, really just double down on what's working. Most importantly, though, we should make sure that value provision is at the forefront of our minds. This is before we find the leads for our business, once we actually have their emails, and then especially once they're in the nurture process. How can I continue to show up and serve my ideal client with the answer to the problems and questions that they're facing? You can let me know in the comments if you would actually like me to do a video all about the nurture process, because that is something that is completely different, but I would be happy to put that together if that's of interest to you. Okay, so before I close off here, I have one more key thing that I want to share with you. And I want to include this in this video because it's super powerful, but I just wasn't sure sort of how it fit into the flow of the video. So I figured I would just toss it in here at the end. And these two things I'm going to share are great for local businesses and service providers in particular. But if you are neither of those things, you can feel free to listen along anyway. I want to talk about the power of leveraging customer testimonials as well as utilizing your local network to grow your business and generate more leads. So when we utilize the collection and display of testimonials in our business, we are actually leveraging the power of FOMO, so fear of missing out. You see, a lot of times there are people who are vaguely interested in our service, but they need that sense of social proof to prove that what we are selling is viable and it's working for other people. They don't want to be the early adopter who has to test it out. They want someone else to go through the process and let them know that it's safe to buy. Maybe you can relate to this. I know I can. I never buy anything on Amazon if it doesn't have a review. I need to make sure that somebody else has bought it first and that the product is legit before I'm going to go ahead and spend my money purchasing it. Makes sense, right? So as a business owner, sharing past client experiences and showing other potential clients that your product or service is safe and that other people enjoyed it and got what you had promised them out of it is going to allow them to feel more comfortable with joining into the nurture process, joining into your funnel, and potentially even buying from you in the long run. Now, let's just quickly talk about the second thing I mentioned, and that's utilizing your local network. So when I had my yoga business, this was one of the key ways that I used to generate fresh leads that I wouldn't have normally had access to. And so what I did was I went on Google and I actually searched every local Airbnb in the area that I lived in, and I got the contact information for the people that owned those properties. From there, I crafted an email explaining who I was, what services I offered, and how we could work together in a way that was going to be mutually beneficial. So in the case of my yoga business, I asked that the Airbnb hosts included me in their booklet of available local services. And I said that anyone who booked with me while staying at their property, I would offer the owners a 10% kickback of the fee that it costs for me to provide the service. So again, this allowed me to gain access to a market that I wouldn't have necessarily been in unless those people were to search, private yoga in Muskoka, which is where I was living at the time. This allowed those people to arrive at the property, or maybe in some cases they received a PDF in advance. They were able to look through the list of services and think, hey, maybe I want to hire this private yoga instructor to come and teach us a class while we're here at the cottage. And so you might be wondering what this means for you and your business. I would encourage you to think of complementary service providers within your area. Maybe that's virtual or maybe it's in person, and think about ways that you can collaborate together to leverage their existing audience to bring new leads into your business. So whether that's some kind of referral program, a partnership, or a circumstance in which you give them a kickback for referring people to your business, you can decide what makes sense for you and your business. And ultimately, this is one of the easiest ways that's sort of a workaround to generate more leads, because it's people who already have an audience and you're essentially just leveraging their existing audience to bring them into your own. Okay, I know that was a ton of information on why you should focus on lead generation and how you can focus on lead generation. So please let me know if you have any questions at all in the comments. And if you have a lead generation strategy that is effective in your business, I would love it if you could share it down there as well to help myself and other small business owners in the process of generating their own leads. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I put out new videos every Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok for daily small business tips. I will have both of those linked down below in the description of this episode. That's it for today. I always welcome your feedback, and I will see you in the next video.